Hey, I got something I want to ask you about. Actually, that's just come to my mind. I just wrote it down so I didn't forget it.
Yeah, great.
So, because I actually had my memory jogged on this just recently because an article came up on my LinkedIn. So Elon Musk is famous for saying AI is the biggest problem that we're going to face, and the second biggest problem we're going to face is underpopulation. So everybody talks about...
Did he say underpopulation?
Underpopulation.
Yeah, right.
So because everybody talks about the fact that we're going to hit 9 billion people by 2050, that's at the rate that we're going, but all of our replacement rates are well underneath all of our birth rates are well underneath our replacement rates. So we're actually by 2100 on track to be 2.1 billion at current rates, which is fantastic. But I'm not an economist, right? So I always talk about...
Well, I am.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I'm a fake economist.
No, yeah. Well,
I'm a broke economist.
He's been looking forward to asking this for a while. Like, we were driving back from the countryside, and we were talking about this for the entire
Sounds a bit romantic. I'm surprised.
So we were driving back from the countryside, and you wouldn't believe what happened.
To that.
Yeah, keep that stuff on the lowdown, mate. We were driving back from the brewery. I just had a couple of burgers and a couple of beers. But I talked about it a bunch because when I heard it, it was one of the most fascinating concepts that I'd come across. And I understand it. I understand that our economy is built to grow. I understand that even the cities that we've built are built to have X amount of people in them. If you, over the space of 50, 60, 70 years, if you halve, take 1/4, you know what I mean, 1/8 of the population, then the implications are going to be crazy. But I'm not an economist, so I actually want to speak to someone. Yourself is a perfect example, someone who can answer the question, if and when those trends continue, what does that actually do implicitly to our economy worldwide?
Okay, so it's a really big question. There's a lot to unpack. The first thing that we need to think about is that long-term trend forecasting is fraught with danger, because long-term trends don't take into account technology curve jumps and forks in the road of behaviour based on something going too long. And I'll give you a classic example. A lot of people say that Melbourne will have a higher population than Sydney by, I don't know what the number is, 2025 or 2030, but you can Google it and you'll find it.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is really, really simple, is that Melbourne is growing more than Sydney now because it's more affordable. And when the gap gets closer to Sydney or Melbourne becomes more expensive, then people start to go back to Sydney. And so what demographers often do, and people who do long-term forecasting, is they look at a trend and then they scale it up.
Yeah.
And it never happens.
Yeah.
There was a big thing in the 1970s called the population bomb. And it was actually, there was a book on it. And it was a New York Times bestseller in the mid-70s. And based on those current rates, we would have had like 20 billion or something already in the world.
That's right.
And it doesn't happen because you get forks in the road, A, because a new technology changes possibility.
Yeah.
And we don't know what those forks in the road are. And B, when something goes so much to a certain direction, we about face as a species. It's almost like
China's one baby policy.
Yeah.
That was the last fork to you know.
And so we have this almost like this natural species level immunity that kicks in when collectively we go too far one way, the tide shifts.
Yeah.
And we go another way. We get a fork in the road. And that happens all the time. So Elon Musk's idea that we would have a tiny population of 2.1 by 2100 is fraught with danger given how far away it is. And demographers get this stuff wrong all the time. And in fact, a better predictor is someone who understands social behaviour and technology, because that's far more important than demography and long-term statistics. They rarely ever work out.
Well, that's a great answer. But let's say that Elon Musk is correct.
Okay. So speaking hypothetically,
because mainly
if I'm still around in 2100, I'll bet you $5 that he's wrong.
You're right.
You saw it right here first.
$5 and your eyes lit up.
That'd be worth a lot of money. That'd be worth a lot of money.
I mean, I'm a big roller here. I like to roll big, you know.
Are we adjusting for inflation? or are we betting 0.0001 cent?
Let's go with a crypto stable coin.
Let's just put $5 each on the table right here.
Yeah.
I don't know, $5.
No one's got money anymore. Has anyone even got money anymore?
I'm on the Libras already.
Yeah.
No, but in all seriousness, mainly just because I want to know. Because I've been telling this story about, how's this, but I would actually love to know the implications of what you think would happen if in 2100 we do have 2.1 billion people living on the planet.
Okay. If we only have 2.1 billion people living on the planet and we don't have a climate or a technological catastrophe, there would be zero problems. And here's why. Because the exponential change of technology between here and then, 80 years away, would be so significant that we would have molecular nanobot 3D printers that can make anything that we can imagine, and we could literally speak to it and tell it what to make from the 20 elements in the air and carbon in the ground and dirt, and we'd be able to make anything we want as
sick.
we need.
That's exactly what I've been thinking about. That exact technology.
Really?
No, that exact technology. No, not in terms of what we need on Earth. But in terms of expanding humanity beyond Earth, we don't, because humans won't live long enough as carbon forms to go interstellar, right? But if we want to expand our presence in the universe, what we need is tech that can create from any amount of materials available to it, wherever it can land, right? So if you send something off to Saturn or to Pluto or to Jupiter, it should be able to gather the resources from the atmosphere and from the environment there to create another way of getting to the next stage. So that tech is going way beyond Earth. It's going...
Well, it's everywhere. I mean, if we get to the nano level of technology, and Ray Kurzweil, who's the singularitarian guy, he says that by 2045 we'll reach a singularity where tech... just has a constant rate of improvement, improves upon itself. It's when it goes vertical.
It's when tech updates the tech rather than we.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So it goes. A singularity is like it's actually a physics term for a black hole. It's where it just repeats on itself. If you get to that level, if you get to that level, the elements in the universe, we can reorganize them. Into any shape or form that we want. And was it something like, I have to remember, I'm going back to my grade 9 chemistry here, but is it something like our Earth is made up of 99% of it is 4 elements? Is that it? I'm pointing to you now as the arbiter of this. Carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, something like 90% of it is...
Well, helium and hydrogen were the first 2 elements in the universe.
Because we're just at a Brian Cox seminar.
We're freshly
now, if
freshly
you've just
rubbed
been
up
at the Coxmeister, Dr. Brian Cox, mate, I need to know the answer straight up. So, but look, regardless of what it is.
You're pretty close. I mean, I think what are the most abundant substances on the Earth? It's water,
hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen.
You guys are way above my pay grade there. I didn't listen in year 8, year 9 or year 10.
Mate, it's your periodic table, brother. You've got to get on that stuff.
Yeah. I was drinking beryllium at the time.
Yeah. Beryllium. Did you say beryllium?
Yeah, I did say beryllium.
You need a T-shirt with the periodic table that says beryllium on it. Mate, that was pro level. So
you're pretty close there.
So my answer is that if we survived there and we didn't have a catastrophe in our species where we went back to kind of sticks and stones kind of level, then we would certainly have the technology to make anything we want, as we imagine it, with the machines. We'll have machines that make anything that we want, based on nano-level technology, artificial intelligence, and our ability to get free energy from the world. Because free energy is so close, it's not even funny.
Yeah, for
People
sure.
have got no idea how close free energy